So the more time I spend researching fragrances and consistently trying new things, whether that be new releases or just fragrances that are new to me that have been out for years, the more time I invest in this hobby, the more I come to realize every day just how important fragrance flankers are. And flankers can be a little bit of a divisive topic. Some people hate them, they don't want anything to do with them, and now that niche brands like Amouage, Creed, Parfums de Marly, just to name a couple, are coming out with flankers of their own fragrances, it's really setting some of these people off. You know, it's the niche purists who don't want anything to do with no flankers, right? Designer brands, they definitely kind of really kick that off, especially within the past few years. They've been growing substantially. And when I sit down and look at my collection and go through my favorite fragrances of all time, a good amount of them are actually flankers. So today we have 10 fragrance flankers that, in my opinion, should be just as popular as the original. So as an example here, you have Acqua di Gio, which is an original fragrance, Acqua di Gio Eau de Toilette. You could say that Acqua di Gio Profumo should be as popular as that one. That's not an example in this video, and some would actually argue that Acqua di Gio Profumo now is kind of almost as popular as the original, but it kind of gives you an idea of what I'm going after here. 10 fragrances. We do have the addition of one niche fragrance in here, one niche flanker. Everything else going to be designers. I will link them up down below to discounters so you can check them out and pick some of these up at a price below retail. Those links will always take you to generally the best pricing on the internet. And we're going to start here with La Nuit de l'Homme Le Parfum. A little bit of a slept on one. Yeah, in my opinion, I think this should be about as popular as La Nuit de l'Homme EDT, the original, where it all started. I really do think that. It has a lot of potential. It's got pepper, lavender, fruity notes, vanilla. I really like it a lot, and I have ever since I first got it. You know, it's surprisingly almost a more wearable version of La Nuit de l'Homme, and I think that's kind of where they messed up a little bit with this one. Not that it's more wearable, but the fact that they're calling it a Le Parfum, they're putting it in a seemingly black bottle, but is also a little bit see-through. It just has the looks of a parfum. You may be going into this one expecting it to be even more strong and rich, but it goes kind of in the opposite direction. It's almost slightly like a La Nuit de l'Homme fresh. It's almost like a La Nuit de l'Homme frozen cologne that isn't around anymore. Now this one does stray further away from the original and frozen cologne, but that's kind of the direction that it goes. And I think that throws a lot of people off. And I think it was a little bit of a mistake here. But for me, it's one that I really enjoy. I see myself wearing this one in the daytime a lot, and then maybe when the evening comes around, then I switch over to La Nuit de l'Homme, the original. They layer over top of each other seamlessly. That's kind of how I use it. I think this one has a lot more mass appeal all around, though. It's a really, really well done scent that I think should be as popular as the original. Next up, we have Dolce & Gabbana The One, Eau de Parfum Intense. Cardamom, cashmerean, benzoin. So it's a modernized Dolce & Gabbana The One, essentially. Easiest way to put it, if you wanted to put it in as few words as possible. Modernized The One. Now, you know, it does have differences here, obviously. No strong tobacco. It's not quite as smoky and rich and kind of having the same thing going as the original. It's more aroma chemical heavy, more cashmere heavy, more synthetic woods heavy, but not in a bad way. I'm just saying that's kind of the notes that they're using here. It doesn't come across smelling like cheap or synthetic or anything like that. But it's kind of what they're focusing on, is just being modern. You know, this kind of came out at the same time DIOR Homme 2020 came out. And there was a couple other cashmerean, ISO-y, super woody-based fragrances coming out around this time. Gentleman Eau de Toilette Intense, all relatively close to each other. That was kind of the next big trend, and the heavy focus on cashmerean is prominent in this one. But you do get some cardamom spice, you do get some amber. It's still a warm, spicy fragrance. It's just a different twist. And again, for the third time, fourth time, fifth time, however many times, it's more modern. It's a modernized take on that DNA. For some, you know, Dolce & Gabbana The One is going to be played out for them. They just don't really want to gravitate towards it anymore. And if you want to stay within the same line but drift over to something a little bit different and updated and refreshed, check this one out. I think this could easily have the mass appeal and potential to become as popular as the one EDP one day. I think it's all around a really well done scent. Next up, we have Fahrenheit Le Parfum. So there's no denying the popularity of the original Fahrenheit. I mean, it's an OG, a true OG, just like a lot of the originals of these are, I guess. But especially when I think of Fahrenheit, man, it's like, wow, Fahrenheit. I'm sure everyone was wearing that at some point. It's something that I think a lot of guys can remember their dad having, you know, in their bathroom on their cabinet or whatever, and probably stealing it before they go to school when he's not looking to get some of that Fahrenheit going, you know. But this one here is by far the best flanker that you can still buy. Fahrenheit Absolute is a stunner, discontinued though. This one has vanilla, suede, rum, has that violet leaf going on in here. So it's a really nice, unique balance of fresh and sweet and ozonic, but it's done in such a great way. Gorgeous, stunning fragrance. Definitely going to really appeal to the enthusiast. It would appeal to people outside of that as well, but I think collectors and people who are more invested in the hobby would smell this one and find that they really do get something unique out of this one. Given that it has that sweetness, it almost makes it a little bit more appropriate for a nighttime outing or something along those lines. And I just think all around, I mean, with how good this one is, it deserves the spotlight just like the original had. Next up, we've got Prada L'Homme Water Splash. Iris, neroli, ginger, and sandalwood. You know, no one talks about this. Currently, you can get this for $60 for a 150 ml bottle, just like this one. That's a ton of fragrance for the price, especially a Prada, and especially a Prada L'Homme in general, because typically the Prada L'Hommes are going for upwards of 80 for 100 ml. So this is a steal out of this world. That's crazy to me. So I would scoop one of these up if it's still at that price while you can, because I feel like if it goes out of stock at that price, it's going to be coming back much higher. The whole Prada L'Homme line is actually getting hard to get. Intense is discontinued. The original L'Homme seems to get sold out often. Absolute is discontinued, and even L'Homme Low in a lot of places is sold out or low stock and getting marked up. So it's just a whole bunch of weirdness going on with a lot of fragrance lines, not just this one, but this one is also being impacted. And so if you can get this one for $60, in my opinion, it's well worth it. I also think smell-wise, wearability-wise, it deserves the spotlight like L'Homme does, the original. It's almost even more wearable than the original. A little bit more fresh, a little bit more inviting, easy to pull off, good summertime flanker. One that is just overlooked, but I do think, you know, despite the name being just a little bit kind of strange-ish, definitely not fancy. The bottle design is cool. It's great bang for your buck. It's a nice scent all around. Let's go and talk about that niche fragrance up next. A niche flanker from really the niche brand that kicked it off for me. It's not the first niche fragrance that I ever added to my collection. That was a Mancera. But this brand is the first niche brand that I truly kind of went down the rabbit hole with. I collected this brand heavily when I was first starting out, just because on the gray market, especially eBay back in the day, you could pick these up for really good prices and get older batches. And I went down the batch rabbit hole of not just this particular fragrance line in specific, but a lot of the other ones that kind of just gave it away. But it's Creed Aventus Cologne. In my opinion, this one really can hang out with the original Aventus in terms of just how good it is. You know, it's that original Aventus DNA with this kind of creamy orange, aromatic undertone, and it's amazing. I got hooked on this one, not last summer, but the summer before initially. I got a bottle when summer was getting kicked off, and I was wearing it for days in a row. And throughout last summer as well, I wore it quite a bit. I plan on hitting it hard this summer as well. Probably going to pick up another bottle. I like to try a bottle of Aventus, or I like to try to buy a bottle of Aventus at least once a year, even though I don't go through a full one in a year. I like to start to build up that backlog, because we all know what happens with batch hysteria. And, you know, I'll wear through them at some point. I know of it. But, man, Aventus Cologne, love it. It's got orange, musk, vetiver, birch. And you know, while it's not incredibly different compared to the original, there's minor tweaks. It's a little bit fresher, more aromatic and wispy and light, and it is really, really addicting. It smells unreal in the summer heat. Spraying it inside, climate controlled, average, normal, comfortable temperature, it smells great. But trust me, wear this one in June or July, peak of summertime in the heat, you will fall in love. It is a deadly weapon, a potent, strong, sexy beast of a fragrance in the summer heat. Great stuff. So from one hype monster to another, we have SAUVAGE Parfum. You know, this is kind of in a way, forgotten flanker. Of course, you know, the Elixir is out now, so that one's going to be getting a lot of talk. The original SAUVAGE is, well, the original SAUVAGE, so of course that one's going to always get a lot of talk, right? The EDP does get tossed around. I just feel like the Parfum is kind of just, you know, off on its own, but it's really nice. I like it a lot. Great atomizers on these, of course. And it's SAUVAGE Parfum. It's a nice, more mature, refined take on that DNA, which is very playful. Sandalwood, bergamot, olibanum, so it's got a nice creamy sandalwood, bergamot top note. The olibanum's giving off this kind of aromatic, smoky wispiness. Very, very nice. Definitely refined. This and Elixir are going to be the two that's more for a gentleman, more for a refined guy. You young guys out there, stick with the EDT and even the EDP if you wanted to. But I do think a lot of people write off the Parfum because it's SAUVAGE, and maybe they just don't like SAUVAGE, or they think that they hate everything SAUVAGE. Well, you may actually like this. It's very usable, very versatile. Performance is great. It's a true Parfum, and it wears like one heavy, strong stuff that leaves a massive trail in the air. Spraying this one up in the air, you're going to smell it in that room for a long time. Same if you're wearing it and you walk through. All around a really nice scent that I do think deserves the spotlight, just like the original. Terre d'Hermès Eau Très Fresh with the cool little, you know, twisty thing. Yeah, Terre d'Hermès, we all know it, right? Very popular scent, the EDT, the original I'm talking about here. Great office scent that smells like a dirty, earthy orange. Have we heard that before? I think we all have. The problem with that one is it's so dry and vetiver heavy and orangey that some people will just not like it at all. Some people will hate how it smells, and not just the wearers, but the people around you that you may work with, that you're wearing it to the office. They may not like it. That's just kind of how that one is. I'm a big fan of it. I like Eau Intense Vetiver. I like the Parfum. The Parfum's a lot. It's a handful, but I still really like it. Eau Très Fresh is going to be the easiest one to pull off, and if you're kind of on the fence and you're wanting to get into the line, this is a great jumping off point. Orange, citrus, watery notes, and woods are just kind of what it's all about. It's just a lighter, dumbed down version of the EDT, and it's really, really pleasant. Another one that smells fantastic in the summer heat. Smelling it indoors just really doesn't do it justice. You need to get some heat on it. It'll open up, it'll develop, it'll smell crazy good, and it's one that I do think really deserves some love like the original has. So we've got Versace Eros Flame up next. This is a Eau de Parfum, right? Yeah, had to double check. I was trying to be sneaky about it, but no hiding that. Kind of thought it was, but you know, this is the first Eros flanker, right? Eros came out, and whenever that was, and then nothing. Crickets for a long time until Versace tried to get in on some of that Eros flanker action, and now we have, you know, an EDP and a new Parfum, which is amazing as well. Orange, vanilla, tonka bean, pepper. It's a little bit more of an aromatic, creamy take on Eros. Has, I don't know, more of a citrus fruity opening. Less apple, more orange, a little bit more aromatic, like I said. Just a nice different twist. Ultimately, it does dry down and get closer to that original Eros DNA, but the opening does give it a nice different variety. I'm a big fan of Eros Flame. I like the whole line, admittedly. It's one that's easy to bust on, just like SAUVAGE, just like even AVENTUS for that matter. Stuff like that that's doing good is easy to just make fun of and point at and say, oh, that's generic, that sucks. I like Eros. I really, really like the new Parfum a lot. But I think Flame is also one that is maybe a bit overlooked / just tossed away because it's an Eros fragrance. It really does have a lot to offer. Second to last, we have 1 Million Lucky. So this one has notes of plum, hazelnut, ozonic notes, honey. Really interesting note breakdown, and there's many more as well. This one, it's been rumored now to be potentially on the chopping block because they're going to be wanting to free up some room for the newest Elixir, which kind of makes sense. Of course, they're not going to discontinue the original 1 million, right? That's their flagship. They discontinued Privé, probably to make room for when 1 million Lucky was coming out and getting hyped up, or maybe even the new, I guess, to make room for the new Parfum that came out. They got rid of Cologne, 1 million Cologne, kind of an Invictus Aqua smell, which I really liked a lot. And there's been others, 1 million Intense and a bunch of them. So, who knows? I think this is a really good seller for them, but I think Privé was also a really good seller. And that was a big, big hit to the chest when they cut that one off. They didn't announce it. I almost said when they announced it, they don't announce anything. These brands, they just do stuff stupidly. Like look at Invictus Aqua 2016, right? If you really think that they wouldn't discontinue this because it's a bestseller, look at what else they've done. So who knows? I'm not confirming nor denying anything. I'm just saying it's not out of the realm of possibility. So I always think it's wise to start looking at your options, maybe get a backup bottle if you're into that sort of thing or not. I just like to make you guys aware of this stuff. If I see news, I like to report it to you, even if it's not confirmed yet, because I don't want you to miss out on something you really like. I do like this one more and more each time I wear it. At first I was like, bleh, whatever. I like it a lot now. It's ozonic but sweet, kind of nutty with the hazelnut note in here, which also gives it this kind of gourmand aspect. It's, for what it is, unique, and I think does add a lot of value to the line. I hope they don't discontinue it, but who knows. And last up, we've got Spice Bomb Infrared by Victor and Rolf. Red fruits, tobacco, cinnamon, pink pepper, so a whole bunch of spiciness. Now, this smells quite a bit similar to the original, the EDT. The only difference is the red fruits. Man, it's subtle at times, but the more you smell this one and wear it, you pick up on the differences with the red fruits, which is something that the original didn't have, and it gives it more of this fruity sweetness up top, this delicious, delectable, you can almost bite into it even though it's very spicy and you wouldn't want to do that. It's kind of how it is. It's a really nice mixture. They tweaked just enough to make it appealing, but they didn't completely overhaul it to where now it's not Spice Bomb anymore. And I really like what they did with this one. I think it's better than the Night Visions, right? Those go off in a track, which just isn't really for me. Night Vision EDP is a good mass-pleasing scent, but it's not one that I would personally want to wear. Infrared is one that I do like to wear. I enjoy this one. Again, I love that red fruits up top. You kind of pick up on it throughout the entirety of the scent. And it's a really nice flanker overall. One that's also easy to overlook just because people think that it's just Spice Bomb EDT, but rebottled basically is what gets tossed around, but it's not. There's more to it than that. And look at how well the EDT did. I almost think this one has kind of improved upon that, maybe refreshed a little bit as well, and I think that it could do just as well. That's going to do it for me. That's 10 fragrance flankers that, in my opinion, should be as popular as the original. Amazing stuff here. Have a lot of love for all of these. All different and unique in their own way. Spring, summer, fall, winter, date night, daytime, formal, casual. You got it all in here, so you will definitely find something that you like. These flankers get my approval for what that's worth. I will link them down below for you to check them out at Discounters. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.